Hi, today is Thursday, December 1st, and we can be reading Daniel 1 and 2.
All right, you ready? Matthew?
Yes.
Gabriel? And you have a dinosaur. Oh, so you do.
Whoa. Watch it, man.
All right. Daniel 1.
All right, Daniel taken to Babylon. In the 3rd year of the reign of Joachim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave Joachim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God. And he carried them into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. The king spoke to Aspenaz, the master of his officials, that he should bring some of the sons of Israel and some of the king's descendants and some of the nobles, youths in whom was no blemish, who were handsome and skillful in every branch of wisdom, and gifted with understanding and discerning knowledge, and such as had ability in them to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the language of the Chaldeans. The king appointed them a daily provision of the king's food and of the wine which he drank. They were to be educated for 3 years. At the end of it, they might serve before the king. Now among them were of the sons of Judah Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, to whom the commander of the officials gave the names, and he gave to Daniel the name of Belshazzar, to Hananiah, Shadrach, to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's food, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the master of the officials that he might not defile himself. Now, God had brought Daniel into favor and compassion with the master of the officials. The master of the officials said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed your food and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse looking than the youths who are your age? Then you should endanger my head before the king. Then Daniel said to the steward, whom the master of the officials had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, and let them give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before you, and the countenance of the youths who eat of the portion of the king's food. And as you see, deal with your servants. So he consented to them this manner, and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter than all the youths who ate the portion of the king's food. Thus the guards continued to take away the portion of their food and the wine, and they were to drink, and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 youths, God gave them knowledge and skill in every branch of learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all kinds of visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had set for them to be brought in, the master of the officials brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. The king spoke with them, and among them all none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they served before the king in all matters of wisdom and understanding which the king inquired of them. He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. Daniel continued even to the 1st year of King Cyrus. Chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was troubled, and his sleep left him. The king gave the command to call the magicians and astrologers, and to the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, to tell the king his dreams. When they came and stood before the king said to them, I have had a dream, and my spirit is anxious to understand the dream. Then the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will tell the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, The command from me is firm. If you will not make known to me the dream with its interpretation, you shall be cut into pieces, and your house shall be made a dunghill. But if you tell the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore tell me the dream and its interpretation. They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will tell the interpretation. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that you are bargaining for time, because you see that the command from me is firm. If you will not make known to me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For you have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words before me until the circumstances change. Therefore tell me the dream so that I know that you can tell me its interpretation. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, There is not a man on the earth who can tell the king's matter, inasmuch as no great king or ruler has ever asked such things of any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. Also, it is a rare thing that the king requires, and that there is no one who can tell it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. Therefore the decree went out, and the wise men should be slain, and they sought for Daniel and his companions to be slain. Then Daniel answered with discretion and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is this decree from the king so urgent? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king, and he said he would give him time in order that he could tell the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, so that they may ask for compassion from the God of heaven concerning the secret, so that Daniel and his companions might not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. God revealed Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in the night vision.
Wait a minute. I am in the wrong place. There we go.
Okay, 19. Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in the night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. It is he who changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who know understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. I thank and praise you, O God of my fathers, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have known to me now what we have asked of you. For you have made known to us the king's matter. Daniel interprets the dream. Therefore Daniel went into Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said to him, Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will tell the king the interpretation. Then in haste Arioch brought Daniel before the king and said thus to him, I have found the men of the captives of Judah who can make known to the king the interpretation. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, Are you able to make known to me the dream which I have seen and its interpretation? Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, The secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers cannot tell the king. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets and makes known to King Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head upon your bed are those. As for you, O king, your thoughts come into your mind upon your bed about what would come to pass hereafter, and he who reveals the secrets makes known to you what shall come to pass. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living man, but for the purpose of making known the interpretation to the king, and that you might understand the thoughts of your heart. You, O king, were watching, and there was a great image. The great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its breast and its arms of silver, and its belly and its thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched until a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image upon its feet, which were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. Then the iron and the clay and the bronze, the silver and the gold were broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away so that not a trace of them was found. But the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was a dream. Now we will tell its interpretation before the king. You, O king, are the King of kings, for the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. Wherever the sons of men dwell, or the animals of the field, or the fowl of the heavens, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. After you, another kingdom inferior to you shall rise, and the third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron that crushes it shall crush that and shatter all these. As you saw the feet and toes, partly of the potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it some of the strength of the iron, inasmuch as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. As the toes of their feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron does not mix with clay. In the days of those kings, the God of heaven shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to another people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all the kingdoms, and it shall stand forevermore. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it is broken pieces, the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and its interpretations sure. The promotion of Daniel. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and did homage to Daniel, and commanded that they should present an offering and sweet incense to him. The king answered Daniel and said, Truly your God is a God of gods and the Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, hence you could reveal this secret. Then the king advanced Daniel and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Then Daniel requested of the king that he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat on the court of the king.
Wow. Okay, wait. Hang on. There's something that I really like about this story. Well, there's a lot I like, but so they were about to kill Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, along with all the others, right? Right. So he actually lived this out. He actually, just as real as our day is today, was his day then. He actually lived it out. That's what he was looking at. He was looking at the fact that he was about to die. And so he asked the Lord to do this thing for him. And then so when the Lord gave him the dream, did he still take a risk in telling the king? Did he take a risk in stepping out and asking to please tell the king his dream? Yeah. Could the person that was going to, who was it that was going to kill him? It said it over here. But could he have gotten mad at him and said, you're first in line to die because you're going against what was asked by the king? Yeah. But yet he took a risk, and that's the point I'm getting to. He took a risk, and then when he went and he told the king the dream, at the end of, after he said everything, because the king hadn't been talking, Daniel was the one who told him all of the dream and then told him the interpretation before he even knew if he got it right or wrong. He had to trust God, and that what he told the king was what he heard from God. Did it take faith?
Yes.
It took faith. But then after he stepped out in faith, after he took risks, he was promoted. The promotion of Daniel, and now he sits on the court of the king. Isn't that something? So do you think there was any fear there, or opportunity to fear? Maybe fear that you're about to die when he didn't even do anything? or fear that he could get the dream wrong and say something wrong?
No, there's probably no.
No, there was fear that he could have taken, but there was promotion on the other side. So there was a test before there was a testimony. And it works the same way today. There's always a test before the testimony. All right, bye.
Bye.